I'm Angie Eng. I'm one of the 5 artists who have been placed with the City of Sacramento for 1 year by the Office of Arts and Culture. At this spot is an art action that takes the form of a participatory walking game. Participants are split in groups of 8 to 10. The game takes about 2.5 hours. So I used a deck of cards with prompts on them. There are 10 points where participants stop to pick a card, follow the prompt,
notice if the sidewalks are wheelchair accessible,
and then share out.
The sidewalks might be accessible, but I don't know if most of the buildings are. We'd have to look around and see if there's ramps.
The takeaway of the project is to inspire the participants to adopt or use the game, implement some of its strategies to engage their communities or groups so that they can work with them and build a better city. Planners or part of the Planning Academy, part of the City of Sacramento, or some of you are just affiliates. It's also another way of experiencing an environment before we're using our cognitive brains. And when we're creative, then there's more possibilities for envisioning our future. And that's the hardest part, right? If you've been to a place, it's completely new. So we're looking at the environment with fresh eyes. Okay? They call it beginner's mind in Buddhism. Tim? Awesome. Okay, so you might want to take your headphones off now because you'll hear an awful buzz. And start walking. So just remember 4 strides apart.
Okay, at this spot, notice if the sidewalks are wheelchair accessible. Well, it looks like they're just basically 4 feet wide, and there are on corners on these streets, there are slope down to the street, but I didn't notice that on the other streets as we walk through.
Notice if the sidewalks are wheelchair accessible.
Yep.
And it looks as if
The sidewalks might be accessible, but I don't know if most of the buildings are. We'd have to look around and see if there's ramps. Usually with older buildings, there's it's harder.
When I was on those streets, I almost assume that they're not when you're on a residential street. I only think of it on a commercial street or something like this, and you forget how difficult it could be done.
North Sacramento has always cried out as being a stepson, stepsister to downtown Sacramento, so they always had to argue and yell a lot to get anything done.
Okay, we're at our 3rd spot. So Melissa, would you like to take a card?
Point to an area and share what emotions it evokes. I guess my emotions are, growing up in a small town. This street has a very small town feel to me. I just love to see the variety of the little shops and divided streets and places that have the potential for people to walk and move.
Thank you, Melissa. So this is a group card, so we're going to go around and everybody is going to pick a spot and share your emotions. Everybody's going to add, so you point to an area and describe your emotions that area evokes.
Okay, I would say that, I don't know if it's empty, but it just, it feels like it's vacant. It feels empty walking through here.
So how are your emotions? So this
my
card
emotions,
emotions.
It needs some tender, loving care.
Emotions.
For me, coming in, I felt excited because I was like, this is a town that I haven't seen, the part of town I haven't seen. So excited.
Thank you, Mike.
A little sad walking, particularly on this main boulevard, how many empty buildings there are, empty businesses. And part of the sadness is it's not really lively from a people standpoint. But that contrasts with, I don't know if you noticed, there's several buildings with murals that are really attractive. That's kind of it's an upbringing kind of feeling. And you'll also notice, I noticed with the murals, there isn't any graffiti on top of it, so they're respected by local people.
Wave to that guy.
That's an observation in
in and of itself. Right, exactly.
People don't want to go there. I don't know if there's a term for that, but that seems to be one of the themes here.
My observation was walking past the businesses. I want to know more about them. I didn't know they were here. And so I'm going to come back down here.
I think there's two main ways to make a place sort of successful and thriving. It's one, make it a destination where people want to come, or two, make it a place where people want to stay and live. And I think there's housing. I think is a big part of this, because we clearly have infrastructure, but I think, like Phil mentioned, there isn't enough families and enough people here to frequent the businesses, and I think the young people that grow up in this community doesn't want to stay. There's no reason to stay, and so they leave. And so it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy of there's a cycle of people growing up, leaving, and all we have left are homeless people and older folks and retired folks and people who don't often want to go out.
I walked this boulevard with my children during Phantom Galleries on Second Saturday. I have art pieces. I have an art piece I had to put on layaway that I bought from an artisan. So fond memories of this boulevard, which is what brought me back.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. As I saw below me that golden valley, this land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts. All around me, a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. Was a big I forgot how this
I think that's pretty good.
The sign was painted, said private property, but on the backside it didn't say nothing. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me.
How much
Thanks,
business
everybody.
Hey,
I think I drove them
other group they were looking at.
Oh no, I just love that song. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
found it difficult to not judge. You know, you're saying to walk and observe without judgment. But as I've been here before, and I have, you know, kind of learned more about the boulevard and its history and some of the problems that it faces, it was really hard